Raanan is fat and he's a Jew. He'll tell you something that you already knew. Your favorite movie sucks. Your favorite movie sucks. American Beauty or Forrest Gump. Your favorite movie sucks.
We are back with another episode of Your Favorite Movie Sucks. We have today one of my dear friends, an old comedy pal, Sean Donnelly is in the house.
Hello.
We just recorded, we just did
2 minutes,
10
3
minutes
minutes.
before we realized I didn't press record, so we're starting again. But we're loose this time. That first one was like a,
We got it.
like a dry run, you know?
They're going to miss the whole Brad Pitt riff that we had.
It was a good riff. Oh, we'll just do it. We'll do the riff real quickly that we did that I thought was recording. I was like, he was eating nuts, and I said, "You're really big timing me eating nuts on my podcast." And then you said,
I'm the Brad Pitt of your
because
podcast.
Brad Pitt snacks.
He eats in movies.
And
Yeah.
then I said, if that's the case, I've been method acting for years doing the snacks. It was funnier the
It was
first
good.
time.
It was really good.
But we
Yeah.
didn't record it, so you'll never see it. That's what I like to do. I don't like to do improv. I like to recreate improv.
Yeah, you tell people about the great improv you just noticed.
You had to be there. But today we are here to talk about one of my favorite movies. One of your. I did this. It's called Your Favorite Movie Sucks.
Yeah.
I've talked shit about one movie. It's crazy. Every movie that I just love.
Well, you have friends that like movies, and I was wondering because you asked for let's cat out of the bag. You asked for a few movies,
Yeah.
and that makes a lot of sense. I think.
Yeah. The cat's out of the bag.
This
now.
is not the one. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
No, I
You
don't
edited,
know.
I guess. But I also didn't think you'd pick this movie because I was trying to think where you would come at it if you think you have to take a shot at it.
Well, the process for this is you gave me 5 of your favorite movies, and I asked my girlfriend which one she wanted to watch last night. I mean, I love them all, but
And they say men rule the world.
yeah, right, exactly. We're doing No Country for Old Men. Sometimes I've heard comments where like, can you say the movie right away? And it's like, just read the fucking caption. I want to have to do everything for you. We're doing No Country for Old Men. Before we begin, though, I do have to do a quick plug. I'm taping a special May 15th at Sesh Comedy Club in Lower Manhattan, and you can get tickets now. Go to punchup.live/Raanan/tickets, or it's in the caption somewhere of this whatever way you're watching this. And if you get tickets today or the next 2 days, type in live in the promo code, $5 off. So just a little plug right out of the way, because they turn this off after 3 seconds.
Right,
So
right.
I got the
Get
plug
it out right away.
especially when you say the plug. Now they really turned it off. But today we're going to talk about No Country for Old Men. But before, you had a PSA you wanted to bring up.
Oh, yeah. So if you are even thinking about seeing Alto nights because you're a De Niro fan, whatever it is, do not go do it. Do yourself a favor. Save yourself time. Time is precious, people. You
Yes.
realize that. Since COVID, we've realized that.
But apparently
And
not to you because you saw it.
I
But
still
you
saw it.
thought it would be good.
I thought I saw a weird online somebody talking about like an influencer type deal, and I don't mind the account. So I was like, okay, this could be, and it was mixed. And then I saw like one bad line in something, and I just like didn't read it.
Yeah.
But then I was like, I wanted to see it just to see what happens with that. With the two De Niros, and it's too much. My friend I went with.
He's not
his friend
fucking
Aaron.
nutty professor. Why are we doing 12 De Niro mobster family?
It's
Who
the
gives a
clumps.
shit?
It's the clumps with Robert De Niro.
Who gives a shit? Yeah, it's so weird.
My friend's friend Aaron said, "How has nobody called this movie Mucho De Niro?"
Yeah.
Which is pretty great. But there's not. I'm trying to think of a redeemable part. It's just comically bad.
Well, but that's the thing. It's like, if you're not, because it's not a comedy.
No, it's not a comedy.
If you're not doing a comedy, but you have a guy playing 2 roles, you've entered the uncanny valley, my friend.
Yeah.
That's a weird word. I mean, it can kind of work if they're like identical twins, I guess. But even that, you're like, it's a little goofy. But a serious movie where an actor's playing 2 parts.
The weirdest part is when Medea showed up. That was fucked up. No, but there was like what you could
De
tell.
Niro's Italian Medea. He's
Italian
Italian
Medea.
Tyler Perry.
I can tell you this. I think the thing they were going for was Barry Levinson was like, "This is my chance to be Scorsese," and a swing and a miss.
I mean, it just looks like first of all, the whole preview. It looked like they used a set of The Irishman. It looked like he begged, and can I just use your set? They look like they're in the same fucking restaurant.
Well, they have all the same style sets. I think it's time period. I'm sure it's some of the same ones. Also, they attempt to do another Robert De Niro beating up somebody scene,
Oh,
which
God.
is comical from Irishman.
And now it's 10 years. It's like 5 years later.
And they do it behind a sheet. So I'm wondering if they just got a body double, but it still looks rough. So anyway, I don't want to go on too long, but just don't see it. It's not worth it.
I mean, it's just also it's kind of confusing. I realized one of the characters named Frank Costello, which is a real Italian mobster. But then I'm like, that name sounds so familiar. I'm like, oh, that's the name of Jack Nicholson in Departed. They gave the guy who's based on Whitey Bulger the name of an actual Italian mobster.
That's really true.
And it's not even Costello's like. I mean, I guess it could be Italian or Irish. I guess.
I always thought it was Irish. I thought about that during
But he's
this too.
Italian in this, right?
He's Italian in this,
and that's a real guy.
The first girl I ever kissed was named Ann Costello, and I'm pretty sure she was Irish.
It's so weird. Like, it's so weird that the name, I guess it's a coincidence or something, but it's like naming someone fake John Dillinger. It's just like, that's a real, you know what I mean?
It's really strange. I guess because maybe they didn't think. Maybe they thought that Costello's time, nobody would know about this whole rundown, even though it's like one of the most famous stories in mob lore. But like, so he's like, I'll just name him Frank Costello. I don't know why.
Right. It's very bizarre. But anyway,
very strange.
Don't see the movie. Honestly, I don't think anyone was. I don't think anyone was jumping to it.
It's on deaf ears right now.
But let's talk about the movie that I rewatched yesterday. One of your favorites.
Yes.
I mean, this is a movie that we always begin where the first time I really stuttered on that. Fuck.
That's okay.
The first time you watched it, your experience.
It was when it was out in the movies. It's first time around.
Yes.
It was 2008, so it was definitely in the city. If I had to guess, it was probably, I forget the theater, but it was probably at the Regal on Union Square. That's used to be my go-to.
Wow, you really have the deets ready.
Because I was in Williamsburg, and the chances are that I took the train and went that way.
And I'm sure you're excited at this point. You love Coen Brothers.
Big Lebowski. Raising Arizona. Fargo is like a perfect movie.
Yep.
It's not my favorite movie, but it's a perfect movie. And Big Lebowski, I loved. Raising Arizona. I think they probably have such a good hit record. I was obsessed with them already.
Yes.
Going into this, I was like, I couldn't wait.
They're the best, and I would say, if you talk about the best directors, that can get into very whatever subjective.
You can get in the mud on that.
But I would say, and obviously this is subjective too, but I would make a very strong case that they're the best writer directors.
You can make top three easily.
I mean, outside of you got Tarantino, you got P.T. Anderson, but to me, the level of consistency in the movies speak to me much more.
Yes, and if you put it in numbers as opposed to hits,
yeah.
If people get too much, like Scorsese, you can say kind of goes down a notch because he's swung and missed a few times,
and he's not a screenwriter,
and he's just director. You're right.
That is a
so
point. That is like
director, yeah.
I mean. Scorsese does have to. I mean, look, I love Scorsese, but he does have to wait for a script. Like the Coen Brothers
can just make the movie.
That is like a higher. Frankly, it is harder.
and I think Scorsese gets the respect he gets. I think because of all the improv that you hear that goes on and how much he's affected things. But you're right, because another guy who is not at Scorsese's level that's also just a director but is amazing is Fincher, who should probably be higher up on the list, but because he doesn't write his own shit.
He doesn't write his own shit. Yeah,
exactly right.
And it's like, I mean, look, obviously Fincher's great, Scorsese's great, but I guess I'm also trying to, well, I guess I am a screenwriter. They just haven't been made. I'm not trying to write screenplays.
I did it, yeah.
I'm trying to be a filmmaker, but that is harder. And they create stories from scratch. There's two of them. That's the big difference.
That's the big difference. But they come on, normally that would screw things up.
Yeah,
he has too many cooks in the kitchen. With them, it's simpatico. It's simpatico.
And I guess what I'm saying is even more so, they might be the greatest dialogue writers with the greatest visual sense.
Yeah.
To be that visual as directors and also be that great at dialogue, I think they beat out Tarantino in a heartbeat. Tarantino, everyone sounds cool. But with this, everyone sounds different and so unique and so hilarious in all their movies.
You're right. It's so organic to the characters.
Yes,
you're right. And even when you see it on Lebowski, even on this, you see it on every movie they have where they're thinking of the characters that they're doing it. Everybody in a Tarantino movie can have a cool speech. The characters are still saying what they would say, but they can. Every one of them, you can hear Tarantino.
It's all just exactly. Yeah. And it also with Coen Brothers. Let me just throw some other thing out there because I do think they're the best. They mean more to me honestly than Scorsese and then Tarantino. And I think one of the things too is the range. The fucking range.
Of what they've done.
Who else can make one of the great? They made Fargo and Big Lebowski one of the greatest. I mean, they're both in different ways comedic, but essentially one of the greatest crime thriller movies and one of the greatest comedies of all time. Who else can fucking do that?
Yeah.
And then they make this movie that is funny in its own weird way. But still such a suspenseful.
Yeah.
Like to think that this movie is the same people who made Big Lebowski
Yes.
is insane.
It's out of control.
Every Scorsese movie, you're like, I could see that guy making this other movie. Big Lebowski and No Country for Old Men, you put them right together, you're like, these are the best.
Or even more so, No Country and then Burn After Reading.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, which is even kind of sillier.
Yes.
than Lebowski, you're like, oh, it's still LA,
It's
whatever.
still like, yeah.
But you're right, absolutely right. It's like just the fact that they're doing this, they're immersing themselves in the project and they're doing what's best.
To have that kind of range while writing the scripts.
Yeah.
So this is not just range of picking different screenplays. They have more range than Scorsese, who can pick any script he wants.
Exactly right. And he probably gets handed the best scripts. Yeah.
And so I do think they're the best, but like this movie, I mean, so you saw it. What did you think when you saw it?
Oh, I was blown away.
Yeah.
And you know, it was like that the year it came out is one of the best years for movies. It was There Will Be Blood.
There Will
was
Be
that
Blood.
year. Michael Clayton was that year. It was another one of my
God,
favorites.
classics.
So it's a dream year for movies, and to stand out amongst that group is just out of control. So it basically delivered on everything you want out of a Coen Brothers movie. Like as far as cinematography goes, writing goes, acting goes, cast, everything. It hit the mark on every category.
Rewatch it again. I'm like, these are the greatest directors at the peak of their game.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what you're watching.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what you're watching. It's like watching Schindler's List, Spielberg at the peak of his game. Like, these are people at the peak of their fucking game, and it's just like, it's stupendous. When I saw it, not to art imitating life,
No, yeah.
I got in a car accident on the driving back.
No way, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Did you think of the movie immediately? When
Yeah, of course. Because the movie has...
Did you make a makeshift shift?
I gave them $100 to kids who didn't even want it, just to corrupt them.
Did you give a Southern teen?
I wasn't here. I mean, it's like... well, so much of the movie is the question of randomness and fate, and so getting hit by a car right after was so spooky.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Yeah.
That's like we live in a simulation. But it absolutely.
And the driver who hit me was a vaguely ethnic, but you couldn't pin down the ethnicity like Javier Bardem.
And had one of those cow puncture things. This movie is so. Okay, so say you look at which I also love, but not everyone. It's vignettes. So you look at Buster Scruggs, right?
Yeah.
There's parts of Buster Scruggs I love, and it's in a similar.
Well, the
vein.
opening is incredible.
It's incredible. It's out of control.
Kind of falls off after then, frankly.
The James what's his name one, the one right after it's not that bad. It has a couple good moments.
Yeah.
With Stephen Root, but like this one, you could see. Like the cinematography in this movie, when you look at Buster Scruggs, you're like, oh, they kind of have the same. Like the Tom Waits one in Buster Scruggs reminds me of the cinematography of this movie because it's the crispest, cleanest fucking look ever, and they do landscapes like nobody else does landscapes.
Beautiful landscapes, and it's a beautiful movie, which is very important because it's the most brutal, unforgiving movie. So the one thing you have, besides the weird humor at times, is the beautiful landscapes. I mean, when he's running away from those cars into the lake, it is beautiful.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah.
It's like a nice lake.
I think,
or nice river, or whatever. You know,
it's hard to. There's so much going on in this movie. I want to. We usually go through it from the kind of each part of the story, but I want to say I think a movie that this is very similar to, but a much superior version. A lot of the. Well, first of all, there's two things. I think this movie can be looked at like Fargo 2 if Marge got older and was even more disillusioned through life, you know? Because
like Tommy Lee Jones's Marge.
He comes in right when Marge comes in, you know?
It has that good versus evil thing.
Good versus evil. And it's kind of similar where like Marge loses a little of her innocence through the movie, and by the end she understands the importance of gratitude, but she like loses her innocence and starts seeing that humanity can be quite awful. And then this is like Marge spiritually, the spiritual Marge at the end of her life, where like she has no faith in humanity left.
She's burnt out.
She's become Tommy Lee Jones. Because you can't help but think, obviously it's a book by Cormac McCarthy, but the way Tommy Lee Jones comes in is the exact point where Marge comes in. You know what I mean?
I never thought of that. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And also, this is a contender. This is the best thing I think he's done. Best thing he's done.
Interesting.
No Fugitive.
Oh, Tommy Jones.
Tommy
Oh,
Jones.
100%.
Tommy Jones, yeah.
Tommy Jones should have. I forget who won the Oscar, but it should have been him. I think
Absolutely.
it should have been him.
That was made for him.
The sadness of life is like just in his face.
Yeah.
His face look like he's one of those great actors like him and Ed Harris. They get so old they eventually start looking like a tree. They just feel like you're looking at an oak tree. And
Just get knots.
yeah. Roots coming out. You have the sap. It's just like they become basically old Native American women. That's what happens to them.
You're thinking Ed Harris in Westworld, right? In
Westworld
he is wrinkled.
Love Lies Bleeding, which was great. They become these kind of guys become like trees, and they become the giving tree.
Yeah,
and
Shel Silverstein does No Country for Old Men.
Javier Bardem just cuts it down immediately. But it's like Tommy Jones. The movie is his movie. I mean, as great as Javier Bardem.
That's another great thing about this movie is first off, and I know a lot of people know this. Just so you guys know, like. It's one of these things that I started the book, didn't finish it in all fairness.
Okay, because I have some interesting things about the book. You want
to talk it later? You want to
no.
I was just going to say it's one of these movies that does stick to how the book is pretty closely, and you don't realize Tommy Lee Jones is the main character of this movie. When you first time you watch the movie, you think it's Josh Brolin.
Yes.
I didn't read the book yet; I read it after the fact.
Yes.
So you think Tommy Lee Jones is the main character?
Yeah, he is the old man without a country.
Yeah.
Okay, well, where do we go? So the book is it's very loyal to the book, except, and this is why it is actually superior to the book in my opinion. I like Cormac McCarthy a lot, but in the book, Anton Chigurh talks a lot.
Yeah,
and it can get very
yeah.
pretentious.
Yeah.
And the reason this is such a great adaptation is they edit out so much.
Yeah.
So Javier Bardem is so much more silent.
Yeah.
And that
it
makes
works.
it so much better because there is long passages in the book.
It's like the broken shark of No Country for Old Men.
Yes, exactly. The broken shark is Cormac McCarthy having his villains all have philosophy PhDs. Because in the book, I mean, look, this guy obviously is obviously philosophical too. But it's so cryptic and laconic, and in the book he talks quite a bit, and it gets pretentious. And we'll go through the movie, but I just want to say one of the things that makes this superior to the book, besides just that, is also in the book at the end. To me, I think one of the greatest moments in this movie is even though she dies, she stands tall to Javier Bardem at the end. She says, "I'm not gonna."
Kelly McDonald.
Yeah, it's you. It's not the fucking Coen. You're just a fucking psychopath. She's the only one in the movie who really stands up to him, even though she dies, and to the point where you see Woody Harrelson do the exact opposite. Woody Harrelson talks exactly how he is. He's like, he doesn't negotiate, he doesn't do this, and then the minute he's with him, he's like, "I'll give you money."
That's great.
And
he has that part with Stephen Root. He's a psychopathic killer, but so what?
But then
it's like you badass, and then you gave it right away. That's a really great point.
It's a disturbing thing because you see his fear of death. You see his fear of death.
Absolutely, but you're right. They're flip flopped, and it shows that one was all bullshit, and the other one actually had a backbone.
She had a backbone.
Even though the whole time she's like, "What are we doing? What's going on?"
Yeah, she's like,
"Why
where are we?"
And
then you see her, this woman who seems so weak and barely in the movie, is like the one person who she's like, "I'm not afraid of you.
Yeah,
I've accepted my fate, and just let you know, you can't pull off this philosophical bullshit on me.
Yeah,
you're just a fucking psychopath."
Yeah, it's great. And she calls out the whole entire thing.
And in the book, they go a different way.
Do they?
In the book, he makes her flip the coin, and she does it.
This is so much better.
And then he goes, "See, nothing matters." And she flips it. She gets the wrong one, and she goes, "You're right, nothing matters." He convinces her of his nihilism. It's weird and pathetic. And what these Coen brothers did these set of Coen brothers, what they did was just so genius. They don't rewrite the book; they just cut it out. So it just goes from there to him leaving, checking his shoes. He killed her, and you don't know this other information. So you think of it from your perspective as her standing tall.
Yeah. So they kind of still stay true because you're missing the part of her.
No, because it doesn't exist in the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
But you're saying she could have at one point he could have if he did the convincing from the book. That's what it's all the same result.
Yes, it's all the same result, but what they did was they cut out the part where that kind of negates her standing tall. Cormac McCarthy gets so brutal, basically even her trying to stand tall falls apart.
Yeah.
And they realized it would be way better if she stood tall. But they don't change his words. They just cut out that part so it doesn't exist. And now you're like, oh, she's the one person. And it's a surprise. It's a legitimate surprise.
It's a brilliant surprise. I never equated the two, and it's such a big surprise. And I'm wondering if they thought of the relationship of those two characters together as well, because that's exactly right. The one guy that flips that, like whatever his name is, what his name is in it, you're shocked when it's immediate that he gives this up.
It's uncomfortable. It's there's this Ernest Hemingway book called what's it called? Fucking oh God, what is it called about the Spanish Civil War? It's great. Fucking
Farewell to Arms?
No. It's For Whom the Bell Tolls.
Okay.
There's a part where these communists are executing all these priests, throwing them off like a bridge in front of the whole town, and this one priest is standing really tall, and he's like, I'm not afraid. And then once he gets to the edge, he just starts chicking out and like begging and crying.
Yeah.
And then they throw him off, and it's like, it's the most disturbing deaths when they're like, really. Woody Harrelson's breakdown there from going, yeah, man, he's a psychopath, ain't a big deal, and just understanding him, and still in that moment being like, I'll give you the money, even though he literally said he doesn't care about money.
Yeah, and he knows he doesn't care about money.
Yeah.
So it shows that he's backing down that even much more.
It's so sad, and it's what death does to most of us. We're just praying, don't kill me,
Yeah, absolutely. And you're probably have times in your life where like, I'd probably be okay with it, face something.
We're all crying.
And then you get there, you're like, ah! But the other thing is that we should mention, because you just mentioned the word death, is how much death plays a part in the Coen brothers' work in a ton of different.
Yes, of course, yes. And this movie, I mean, let's start from the beginning. So this movie, it begins, which is interesting too, because it takes so much from Cormac McCarthy's book, and yet it connects it to other Coen brothers movies. The beginning of this is very similar to the beginning of Blood Simple. Blood Simple opens on shots in Texas with a voiceover of the Javier Bardem character, basically, in that movie. But then you have Tommy Lee Jones having this speech, and it's over these beautiful shots. It's just beautiful in the wind,
Yeah.
In the book, he says the N-word very quickly. Like, in the book, he just talks about some, like, N-word something. I don't know. I just remember there's just, the guy just said, I was like, they took that out of that. That's another thing they edited out of that.
But it's still Hollywood.
Yeah, exactly. But the one thing
one just didn't win an Oscar.
Well, the one thing I can't, like, help but compare it to, even though I find this character so corny in this movie, and I think this is the real, is Morgan Freeman in Seven.
You find Morgan Freeman in Seven corny?
Yes.
Okay.
But I think they're similar characters.
With who? With
Tommy Lee Jones.
Tommy Lee Jones, and then Morgan Freeman in Seven. Oh, I think it's just a better version of that
It's
character.
a better version.
Yes, it's a more hardened. Morgan Freeman in Seven is a better version of Morgan Freeman in Kiss the Girls. You know what I'm saying? It's like that. It's like levels of depth to the character itself.
But there is a difference here, which is, okay, they both are obviously cops at the end of their life who are looking at the question that Cormac McCarthy always asks is, like, all this brutality in life, all this violence, like, are we really, like, are we just a fucked up species? You know what I mean?
Like violent, yeah.
Are we just inherently violent, fucked up species? And what kind of faith can you have when you look at humanity realistically?
There's no hope. There's no hope. It just gets worse and worse, and it's and I think No Country does a way more phenomenal job illustrating that, because it's. At least, one, it gives you a little piece of hope with the Kelly McDonald scene, because that's the only. It's like a little flower in a sea of fucking lava. But like the idea that the Morgan Freeman character, it's way more like narrative driven, and I don't think it's as existential as the Tommy Lee Jones. Tommy Lee Jones is thinking about his life way more than Morgan Freeman is during that. Like, they don't give you enough time with what's going on in Morgan Freeman's mind. Like, a little bit.
Yeah, and he's an architype. Like, there's not much.
Exactly. It's the Sam Shepard detective.
Yeah. You know Tommy Jones. You know his life. You know that he's gonna. You know what? Like, they're like, what are you gonna do when you leave? And Morgan Freeman's like, I'll go farm. It's just some bullshit.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Right. Exactly. And it's like, it's way more like. like he's just darker,
Yeah.
freaking Danny Glover. And
Yeah, exactly.
It's better. Don't get me wrong, it's better.
He's marged Tommy Lee Jones, Danny Glover to Morgan Freeman.
But just do a whole chart.
But also Tommy Lee Jones, like Morgan Freeman is just like a character that just seems like a symbol almost. Tommy Lee Jones is my dad. like that's just my dad. It's I think a lot of our dads, it's like the old guy who has the mixture between jokes. He's joking a lot in the movie.
That's my dad. Yeah,
the mixture of jokes and unimaginable sorrow. Because it's all jokes to hide like this depression. You know?
My dad died a long time ago.
Yeah.
When I was 12, I think my dad told me it's all bullshit. And multiple times.
Yeah.
It wasn't just
I had
once
that when I was 8. I asked my dad what happened when you died. He said nothing. Now stop talking to me. Yeah. But it's kind of caused a lot of anxiety. But yeah, I mean, Tommy Lee Jones is like that old guy who just know that character, like the old guy who's like so sad, but also warm and also really trying to crack jokes and try to be like kind of funny and like, you know what I mean? He's funny. He's like pretty funny the whole time.
But immediately you can tell the life that he's been through.
Yes.
Like
It's on his face.
Yeah.
It's on his oak tree of a face.
Yeah. It's like when there's that's what I mean about when it comes to the characters in this movie. Like, tell me one thing that missed on this movie. It's everything kind of knocked out of the park. You could probably had somebody else in that role, but I don't think you would have wanted that. Put it this way, like,
Maybe
how
Ed
much?
Harris.
How much? What'd you say?
Maybe Ed Harris.
Maybe Ed
But
Harris.
no,
Maybe
it
Ed
is
Harris.
Tom Lee Jones' greatest role.
But to give you an idea of like a miscasting, like I'm a big fan of The Town. I love The Town.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of the movie The Town. I think it's underrated.
Yeah.
And the John Hamm part in that movie, and that has nothing to do with No Country, but I'm trying to say is how much casting matters, was totally miscast and could have been a really good game of cat and mouse, and like another arm, a better arm of that movie to have one of the, even if not Tommy Lee Jones to be fucking fugitive, but somebody like that,
right?
Like even maybe a Keitel type who was like
I totally see that.
You know what I'm saying?
John Hamm, they never know how to cast in movies. In TV, he's like the hot guy from the 50s.
Yeah.
In movies, he's just like, where do we put this old man?
Yeah, exactly. And then speaking of Texas, and I don't want to go too far off the rails here, but like John Hamm, he does a good job in. I just watched Landman with Billy Bob Thornton, and it's all about the oil industry, and he plays a guy in that, and he does a good job in that. But it's kind of right. It's like it's not 50s, but it's he's just playing an executive, and it kind of works, but it's TV.
Landman sounds like what you'd guess that show's called. You're like, what's that show with? It's like Kevin Costner, Billy Bob Thornton. It has to do with land. He's like Landman or something. It's like the sarcastic name you'd give the show.
Or the one your mom gives it.
It's like my mom referring to Yellowstone.
It's like my mom going,
Landman.
I'm going to watch Landman, then my Judge Judy.
I think they literally just like was like, let's call it the thing people will wrongly call it.
We're playing to that audience anyway. They're all 60s, 70s.
They did like a focus test. They're like, we'll tell a bunch of old people who are the ones watching the movie. We'll tell them the title, and then we'll use the thing they recall the title as. And afterwards, they're like, what was it?
They do one of those. Those word graph things. And they go, land and man came up the biggest.
That way, no one will forget what it's called. Landman. I don't even know what my mom could miscall that.
Landsman.
But so, yeah, I mean, no, the casting in this is perfect. I mean, Javier Bardem. So in the first scene, you have that, and then you have Javier Bardem come out, and he is. I don't know if you've seen this, but people vote him, psychologists, as the most convincing.
I've heard that
sociopath in
before.
movies.
Yeah. I also know I'll watch any reel that comes up about No Country on my phone, and one of them, there's a bunch of great ones, and they talked about how the idea for the hair. Do you hear where it came from?
Was it a picture in an old book, right?
It was a picture of an old book of a customer at a brothel from like the early 1900s, late 1800s.
So perfect.
It's so perfect.
But why? I don't know. It's just so perfect. It's just autistic.
It's terrifying. It's so weird. It's terrifying to have that personality with that haircut is because you know why? It's 1880s. It's not 1980s. It's like he's like
timeless.
It's almost like timeless. He's
timeless.
He's a time traveler.
He's like this timeless evil.
Yes, exactly.
Which is every Cormac
It makes him like more
thing.
demonic almost or something. Yeah, exactly.
I do love the fact. I find this so funny that Cormac McCarthy was so writing this book, and he's so involved in like great works of literature that he didn't realize he was taking something from Batman's Two-Face. Like it works in No Country, but that is Two-Face. That is what Two-Face does. And Cormac McCarthy just doesn't know Two-Face because he's just reading like Moby Dick and like Flannery O'Connor.
He's like, what if this happened?
And he's like, ooh, the flip a coin. and he gave it to people and everyone was like, that's so original. And by the time it got published, no one who was like, dude, that's what Two-Face does.
Like Josh Brolin's a rancher who has a truth lasso.
It's just so funny. He just didn't know. But I mean, it is so like as much as I love Dark Knight, like this character is so much more disturbing than the Joker.
1,000%.
And I don't mean like I do think Dark Knight's trying to be disturbing, but I guess it's more of a family thing. This is the most disturbing character of all time.
Well, the Heath Ledger Joker is in that world is the most disturbing Joker that you're ever going to get. I think. Hands down.
Yeah.
But
I guess it's
one,
still a comic book. Yeah.
And this one is like, it's on a different level, right? Because it's like it's not going for pizzazz. Like it still has the comic book element to it. This doesn't, and it's so realistic, and they're dealing with themes that the other ones don't. The other ones are like save Maggie Gyllenhaal, and this one is like, hey. Hell is real, and nothing matters. And
the movie is hell.
And it's like the movie. You think
the movie is to me like hell is someone trying to like kill and die for money that they can't even spend. Like you're looking at hell. You're just looking at like not like literally, but you're looking at these people killing each other for money. And he's never even spending it. Like it's just like the hell of like greed. Like you're so much violence is happening for money that never even gets spent. There's no enjoyment, and that feels like Dante's hell.
Yeah,
the
million become whatever it is. The millions become like a MacGuffin that that never gets paid off by any means.
And people are dying over this. It just feels like that money. Like money to me feels evil in this.
And that's a theme that happens in a couple other movies that I like from the other ones. Hell or High Water is the same kind of deal.
Yeah.
And maybe they're trying to convey like West Texas can be hell because it's still held on to this like Wild West mentality where there are no rules. And that's like Coen's do this, and that Tyler Sheridan does this as well.
Yeah.
Landman kind of fits in, but the idea where it's climate, it's these people have been through a lot. It's like the poor of that area have been through so much. They talk in this like this weird like misery shorthand.
Yeah.
It's so, and granted, these are movies, but I guarantee you it's reflecting the over the years like an area that's been like. Don't get me wrong, it's not fucking war torn or anything like that. But I'm saying it's like it does seem like it gets its personality from what's happened in that area, like the oil stuff, whatever it is over the years.
It's
poverty,
it's a
whatever
desolate place.
Yeah.
But it reminds me of hell in the sense that, like, in hell, you see, like, in Dante's hell, you see people living out their vices without enjoying them, just in this painful way.
Yeah.
And seeing the way he's, like, just taking the money and it's all pain and misery. It just, on some metaphorical level, it just feels like you're seeing people in hell, that vision of hell where you see their lust, but you don't see the enjoyment anymore. You know how in hell people, like, it's like in, like, Dante's hell, they'll show people's the thing they want, but they're no longer enjoying it.
They're not into it.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. This is actually a good question because I never thought of it. That's a great point. I never thought of it that way. Josh Brolin's character, what's his name? Not Lyle.
Llewellyn.
Llewellyn. Did he understand the assignment? As the kids say, did he get the assignment? Did he understand the assignment? Is he, because he's such a badass in the beginning with all the way he talks and what he's doing and everything, is he bumbling, or does he have a plan that just didn't come to fruition because he got caught up with
the money?
With the money, he had an end game for that money, right?
Well, yes, but let's talk about that. So let's get into it. First, we have Javier Bardem. You have him because I want to say also something about Javier Bardem that I think is crucial to the movie a little. But you have Javier Bardem. You have him kill someone immediately. Look like the reason he feels so disturbing is there's no emotion on his face until he strangles that guy to death, and it looks like he just came.
talking about hell. He looks like a demon.
Yeah, he looks like a demon.
He looks like he's.
And he literally looks like he's coming in that moment. And
does.
then he goes back to having no emotion.
He makes like a different face.
Yeah, it is terrifying.
You wonder as an actor, how do you get to that point?
It's the greatest villain of all time. I mean, you look at Anthony Hopkins, you're like, that's just a catty old gay man. Hannibal collector.
He's just sassy.
He's just like, look at those shoes. Love the scarf.
He's Bruce Valanche.
Yeah, he's just Bruce Valanche in a cage. He's just Bruce Valanche ate people. But this guy is like, there's no wit. There's no nothing. He's just an evil fucking guy. And so, okay, and then you get to cover about Josh Brolin finding the money. The first thing you see him do is, it's an interesting, you see Javier Bardem kill someone with a cow gun, which is already just treating humans like
cattle.
Cattle,
and you're like, what the fuck? I was like, what the fuck is that when I first saw it?
It's terrifying because there's something. It's really a horror movie. Yeah. I mean, I think people like don't call it a horror movie, but it is a horror movie.
Yeah, it's a thriller at the very least.
First of all, he is Michael Myers, and he is like the Terminator, and they actually, I think they take some stuff directly from Terminator 2. I actually think like
on the chase, you mean?
No, I think at the end, one of the things they do brilliant with Javier Bardem is you see him kill most of the people he comes in contact with. And then halfway through the movie, they do these editing techniques that are quite brilliant where they no longer even show him killing the people.
Well, that's the main one, which is part of the story, but the big one.
Her, but then also the guy with the chickens.
Also, the guy with the chicken. Oh, yeah, but yeah.
He's like, can you get those chickens out of the crate? And then just cuts them cleaning them up.
Yeah.
And the guy in the room with in the office when he's like, did you see me? He's like, are you going to kill me? Did you see me?
Yeah.
At a certain point in the movie, he's like, all right, he's going to murder these people.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually directly.
And they do almost the rest of the movie, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because
This
Josh
is a big.
That's different. It's not him.
But no, but it's not showing it. I think this is directly taken from Terminator 2. There's a part in Terminator 2 where he goes up to a guy and goes, love that bike. And then it just cuts to him riding the bike. And I'm not joking. Like,
no, I think it's a good technique.
No, I'm not. I like literally think they were influenced by Terminator in this because he feels like Terminator too. Yeah,
he does feel like Terminator 2.
Yeah.
But there's a film thing that isn't there a thing where it's like if you can leave people's imagination. There's a thing in There's also it might have been a Hitchcock thing first because. There's a movie. You ever see Frenzy? Have you ever seen Frenzy? And it's a pretty decent Hitchcock movie.
Serial killer movie. Yeah.
But it's known. It did this sound trick. It was commended because there's a point where the woman's getting murdered, and then they back off of it. You don't see it, but you're hearing it, but it's trailing off, and making it that much more terrifying.
In the imagination.
The less info you give people,
yes,
the
it
better.
puts you in your imagination like the shark in Jaws.
Yes.
Well, it also gets down to this film theory. I like so. It's the term which they use quite a lot in this is dialectic materialism. Basically, the Russians, when they started making movies, they created this concept of the montage, where if you put basically one shot and then another shot that's like kind of its antithesis, it'll give the audience a third idea in its head, or like a synthesis.
You make the connection.
Yeah. So there's a Khrushchev experiment where you show like a picture of a guy, and then you show a picture of a bowl of soup. And the people go, that guy's acting like he's hungry, right? And then they show another picture of the guy and a picture of like a coffin. You're like, that guy's sad. It's the same picture. But using a picture and then showing another picture to create an image in your head.
Yeah.
So when he's talking to her at the end, and then it cuts to him going outside and looking at his shoes, just from him looking at his shoes and that shot before, and just like when he goes, can you get those chickens out? Cut to him cleaning the chickens.
Yeah.
From the act of him cleaning the chickens, he killed her. So this dialectic materialism is starts to play a huge part in the second part of the movie. This concept, and it's a terrifying concept because it's like, it puts it in your head, and he's going to kill these people, and what is it saying? And that's the question. Like, what is this movie saying? Like, who is Javier Bardem? What is he doing? This is the question of the movie in a way.
But you mean to actually identify him as either. The devil or that it's a serial killer and it's a serial killer movie, or what are you saying exactly?
Is he mythical? Is he? I mean, like, what is he, and what is it saying about him? I guess is the question.
I think what it's saying, he's a personification. It cuts to the end, so I'm sure you guys have seen this movie.
Yeah.
But what Tommy Lee Jones is talking about in The Dream. And what he's talking about the whole movie and witnessing, it's a personification of that. So I think what he's symbolizing is the coming apathy and just violence and just kind of just horror that's happening to humanity over time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, I think that's true. But I also think there might be something under it. And this is personally what I think, and I don't know if I'm just going off in my own directions, but there's a part of me that thinks he is creating that mythology himself, and that he is just a mortal human being. And
you mean
Javier Bardem?
Yeah,
he's just a sociopath, a run-of-the-mill sociopath. But okay, so like
within the story.
in the story, so
Right.
like, well, no,
But Tommy Lee Jones is also reacting to the shootout and the thing.
right.
So
Well, he's reacting to
everything's
everything,
yeah.
But like, I think when I see this movie, like, okay, so I'm just a regular person, right?
Yeah.
But if I put a gun to your head right now,
Yeah.
I then become a figure of death for you, or a figure of fate. It's like when I put your life in my hands, I become more than a human being. I become God.
You
to
become somewhat supernatural at that point.
Yes.
'Cause you're controlling. Yeah, you're like you just said.
And I think that's what he gets off on. I think he's a sociopath who, when he flips the quarter and makes them think that their life is in the quarter's hand, really he's getting off on that because it's like, I'm your God right now, saying whether you can live or die.
Yeah.
And so at the end, so he's creating his own symbol, his own metaphorical possibilities, his own mythical possibility. He's becoming this bigger symbol by putting people's life in his hands, until Kelly MacDonald, when she says, it's not the coin, it's you.
Yeah, he's immortal.
Yes.
Yeah,
he's immortal. And so when he's saying the coin, what he's trying to do in that moment, when he says flip the coin, he's trying to say, I'm more than just a man. I am fate.
Yeah.
I am the randomness of fate or whatever, or that kind of like, is it random? Is it fate? I am that force. But he's not the force.
No, he's just
a
psycho.
sociopath flipping a coin.
Yeah.
And at the end, when she says it's not the coin, it's you, she finally brings him down to mortal size.
And also, you could make the case that he leaves, and the universe kind of gives him a little bit of, it's not you. Yeah.
He you see him now as he's also one of the pinballs in the thing. We're all pinballs in this random thing.
Yeah.
How does a pinball become more than that? He goes up to another pinball and says, I can kill you or not.
I can knock you down the
And then
thing.
you think he's the pinball machine. He's not the pinball machine. He's the fucking pinball. And you see it was the bone breaking out of him.
And and the only time they show you that before is when he gets shot and he has to go take care of that.
He's not the Terminator. He's a guy with a lot of willpower.
Yeah.
And he's trying to create his own symbol of godlike immortality, and he's not, you know? And that to me seems like what he's going for on some degree.
So it goes back to that good versus evil kind. What triumphs? It goes back to that thing of that message of good versus evil, because it's like you could say the Kelly MacDonald character is good, being like, no, good will triumph over you. It's a quasi. It's not religious, but that's at play there a lot of the time because. It's the idea: are you going to let evil take over?
Yes.
Are you going to just let him? He told. That's a really great point about. You're right. The minute he flips that coin, and everybody's like, "What?" Like you're throwing off the normal quote unquote good world by being like,
right?
No, fuck you. I can throw it on.
And the guy in the gas station is looking at this guy like he's this godlike figure. Like you've been putting up your whole life. That's what God would be saying.
He's like it's way heavier than this. Like in Pleasantville, when color comes into the town.
Yeah.
I have too many analogies,
but they're great.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like it's that's supposed to be a sexual revolution type scenario.
Right.
But it's this. It's end of Camelot for this world. End of Camelot. They talked about when Kennedy got shot. They called it end of Camelot.
Yeah.
Because there was a certain innocence with the public, which isn't necessarily as true as you think. But on a public eye point of view, or on the news or on TV or whatever it is, that got turned on its head the minute Kennedy was shot. So what this guy is doing, he's coming into that gas station and to that old guy, sweet old man, he's telling him, flip the coin. And this is the first time this guy's ever encountered. And there's so many characters, like this is new to us.
Yeah.
This type of bad is new to us.
Yes.
We know, hey, there's been murders.
We know killing each other over money.
Yeah, exactly.
This is something new.
Something new.
Something that Tommy Jones doesn't understand.
This is like you said before. This is this joke, this real world Joker type.
Real world Joker.
Evil that you want to watch the world burn.
Yes,
just like in Batman. I talk about.
But it's like for Javier Bardem, that allows him to escape his own feelings of mortality. You know?
Sure.
Like if I start treating other people, like Elon Musk can treat other people like they're like expendable,
Right.
and then he can start thinking he's also not expendable, but he is.
Chigurh is just from the movie is just a billionaire.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's very apparent that the minute you get to that point, you feel like you're above fellow humans.
Yeah, like Ted Bundy said he would strangle people and like give them, like not kill them and start strangling them again.
I've heard that.
And he said he felt like God. And from her perspective, those poor victims, I mean, they're seeing this cruel fate suddenly happen to them. They're no longer seeing it as one person, I think. I think you're seeing it as this cruel fate. The same way you'd see a school shooting. If it's happening, when you're like in a school shooting, you're not thinking of you're thinking of this almost like the world itself has become menacing and horrible. You know what I mean?
Well, we are.
Yeah.
They're in the moment. They're dealing with it.
Well, they're dealing with it.
Yeah, we are.
No, but I think even them, like if you hear shooting and you're hiding under a, you feel like the world's
ending.
The world's ending or out to get you.
Look at 9/11. When
Yeah.
9/11 happened, the first I was in Manhattan.
Apocalypse.
They were like first they were like once the second plane hit, everybody was like, oh, it's an attack.
Yeah.
Which adds to
Right.
World War III could have been one of the things thrown out there at that point.
But it's just sociopaths in a plane.
Exactly. Yeah.
Playing God, you know what I mean? I'm sorry, freedom fighters for my left leaning followers.
For your Muhammad Atta's family watches the podcast.
But yeah, so I think there's that, but then there's also another interesting thing where he keeps on saying Tommy Lee Jones, it's getting worse, right? And then you even have that moment where he's with that other old guy, which is hilarious.
That old guy, I'm always forgetting about their relation. Is that his father-in-law, or is that his?
Oh, the guy at the very end. I was talking about the other cop who they have coffee with. They're like, women now have green hair.
Oh yeah.
So the old guy at the end is
the guy you're talking about. Yeah, but that guy with the green hair and stuff. That's what I mean. Like, there's a weird thing where like, that surface level guy and Tommy Lee Jones was like, no, this is bad.
Yeah.
He's like, you're not getting it. The green hair won't cut it.
But here's something I got a little confused by. Or maybe I know. When he goes back to the crime scene, we're going all over the place. It's so hard to go through the story, but there's too much to talk about.
There's too much.
When he goes back to
you
the
guys
crime
know what it is.
yeah.
You mean when he goes to, when Josh Brolin gets killed?
Afterwards, when basically that other cop goes, what kind of crazy person goes back to their crime scene?
Yeah.
When he goes back to the crime scene, Javier Bardem is there. Remember?
Yeah.
Now, does Javier Bardem just sneak through the radio? Like how, or is he in the other room?
No, it's the other room.
He's the other room. Okay.
Yeah, it's not completely apparent. Like you're supposed to not fucking know what's gonna happen. And then when he opens the door, it's this weird thing I think that's happening to Tommy Lee Jones where he's like, I have to do this, but I'm so hoping he's not in here.
I'm so scared.
And he has it's like a sixth sense that he's like, this guy's fucking in. There's a really good chance he's in here.
And I think after that, he's like, I'm done being a cop.
Which is what he does.
He's like, he like faces it up, but he's so scared.
That's if you think about it, that's a great point. That's the only time that that's them being face to face.
Well, he says it. I feel overmatched.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a movie about the good protagonist giving up.
Yeah. You're right.
Which is where it gets a lot less hokey than 7. And 7 at the end, Morgan Freeman's like, goes back on the point. It's like, the world's a great place and worth fighting for. I agree with the second part,
Yeah.
But this is actually someone giving up, which is
it's way more realistic.
Yeah.
Like 9 people
giving
out
up
of 10.
to evil, saying you win.
Yeah. Hey, it's not my fight. It's the next guy's fight. Yeah.
And I think Corbin McCarthy,
who's more equipped,
right,
to do like the next guy who gets to my age that's been going through all this and this evil and this bullshit will be more equipped to deal with it mentally than I am.
And I think Corbin McCarthy, I don't think he writes from a religious place, but I think he uses religious archetypes.
Absolutely.
So like this guy, Tom Lee Jones, is kind of the defender of good, and he's a symbol of good, and he's giving up. Good is giving up to evil, evil winning. But what I do think is also interesting is that at the end, when he goes to that guy who's a relative, I forget how he's related to him.
I think it's his father-in-law. But he lives in this. It's kind of gross. He lives in this
Super
house.
Gross.
All these cats are all.
Also,
over.
that coffee really cold. I feel like he didn't heat it up.
He didn't at all. It's supposed to be bad.
Is that what they do that in Texas? They just drink cold coffee?
Yes, I don't know. The 80s were a weird time. So I think that's what is. At first, I'm like, oh, he's an old police captain? That's why he's in the wheelchair. He got
got
hurt.
Shot.
He got shot. Yeah. But I'm like, I forget. It was weird. It's not clear what they're.
I also want to say before I go into this real quickly is. The first time I watched this movie, there were so many things I did not understand.
Yeah, 100%. I probably watched it about 6-7 times.
I didn't even. The first time I saw it, it took me a second to realize that was Josh Brolin.
Yeah. Well, that was his first foray back, right?
Oh no, I'm sorry, that he got killed.
Oh right, yeah. Oh yeah.
I think the first time I saw it,
that's the testament to how fucking great it is.
Yeah. And the other thing I don't realize because they don't explain it is. I mean, they eventually explain it, but you're watching most of the movie seeing Javier Bardem kill all these people that you don't understand why he's killing. And he's killing because he's gone insane. He doesn't like anyone helping on the, like the people who also got the beeper.
Yeah.
But they don't really explain that till the very end. Like the fact that he's like, they say we have a loose cannon, but only on the end does he go, when you do a job, you get one tool, the right tool, not these other tools. He's just killing all these people because he likes to work alone. He's just gone insane.
and it saves him the idea. It's like Jimmy Conway and Goodfellas. Like get rid of everybody. And don't have to worry about witnesses. And to worry about people wanting part of the money. And to worry about anything.
But he's so
psychotic. Doesn't matter to him. He's like, it's like.
But they don't
explain
any of that.
No. It just fits into the character so well.
Yeah.
And then it's like there doesn't need to be a reason.
It doesn't need to be a reason. And then it's just like because you see him kill people, you get that, and then he kills the people working with him, and you're like, what is going on?
And it kind of ups the crazy.
Yeah.
The minute the guys with the beeper, where they just hand over the gun to him, and he just like and shoots two real quick. That's the moment you go, oh, this guy's his own thing.
But you still don't fully know. Like they don't talk about it. It makes it more disturbing because they don't show the reasons till the very end. But like it just seems like he just kills people randomly. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But that fits into what you were saying about this whole idea where he's beyond human. It's just this thing of like that's what I mean, like him being a symbol. It's like, there's the like you said, they said this is the best representation of a sociopath. It's exactly right. The guy is just. There's not even a thought.
Yeah.
So it's
Because
there's other movies that would have fucked. Sorry.
No.
There's other movies that would have fucked this up where they would have been like, oh, we got a guy. They do it all the time, like Mr. Jonathan in Lethal Weapon.
Yes.
Gary Busey in Lethal Weapon. The first Lethal Weapon. The guy works for him, but he works for them. Like, he works for them. And granted, it's an action movie. And
no. When you say reasons, it kind of fucks it up. Like having no reasons for that for a long time makes it much more disturbing.
Absolutely. And like it makes him non-human.
Yeah, that's the shit from Halloween. The fact that Michael Myers, you don't really know what's going on, makes him so much more terrifying.
Absolutely.
And that's another example of a real sociopath who's becoming more than that by putting on the mask. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like at the end of Halloween, he takes off the mask for a second, and he just seems like a dude.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like him getting hit by a car in No Country for Old Men. You know what I mean?
But they tried to do it, and we were just talking about this the other night. They tried to do it in a movie. It's one of the worst versions in a movie called 8mm, where the guy, it's like this S&M. You ever see the movie?
I did see it once, yeah.
It's terrible.
7 ripoff. And I didn't like 7.
Yeah. It's a long story short. It's like this guy in it, they call him Machine. He's like the enforcer the whole time. Peter Stormare is like the main brain of the situation, and Machine's like the muscle, and he's hurting people. And at the end, he's like beating the hell out of Nicolas Cage, and then Nicolas Cage gets the best of him, and he pulls off the mask, and it's just like a nerdy guy with glasses. It's actually a great actor. This guy from The Wire plays what's his name in the second season of The Wire, but I forget the guy's whole name. But it's just like. He goes, what were you expecting? A monster? It's like the worst version of what you're talking about.
And I just realized what the original version of that is. Wizard of Oz. The guy behind the mask.
The guy behind the mask. You're pulling the curtain back.
Yeah, you pull the curtain back. He is, Javier Bardem is the Oz. But what's interesting to me about that scene where he goes to the guy at the end, and this is where I think it gets to a much deeper place in 7. I think 7 ultimately is this cliche that the world's just getting worse and worse. That guy says to him something pretty interesting. He tells a story of Native Americans killing his grandfather, Tommy Lee Jones' grandfather, I believe.
Yeah.
And he said they just sat there and watched him die. And then he goes, what you're dealing with is nothing new.
Right.
And then you go, wait a minute. Has the world gotten worse? Or am I just old and afraid to die?
Very good point. Yeah, absolutely.
And that is how we feel, right?
And absolutely. I'm 46, man. I'm thinking about my mortality more than I used to.
And we think of the world as falling. I mean, obviously, it is kind of falling apart. But there's always been falling apart.
There's the Mongolian invasion. There's always been fucking things that were...
Kids thought they were going to get nuked in the 60s.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I mean, we think that now, but when they hit under a desk, people are like, it's so awful as kids now with school shooting. Hey, at least they had a chance of survival with those shooting drills. What about a nuclear war drill?
Absolutely.
At least with the shooting drill, you're like, go under that chair and hopefully you'll survive. They were like in the 60s, like go to that chair and you'll die anyway, but it'll just be under the chair.
Exactly.
The old, maybe the chair will stop nuclear war.
We don't understand radiation.
But so like the world's always been fucked up. You're just older and afraid to die. And then of course it cuts right away to the tombstone. You know, that's just vanity, thinking the world has gotten worse. And I think Seven believes that. In Seven, Morgan Freeman's right. The world is getting worse, but he's still going to stay and fight it. It's like two different cliches.
Yeah.
And this, it's the real reality, which is the world is getting worse in many ways, but also at the same time, it's nothing new. And he's just old and sad and feels scared and just retires.
The old guy, I forget the actor's name, kind of pulls the rug from under Tommy Jones.
Yes.
He's like, nah, this has always been going on.
And no one says that in Seven. No one's like,
No.
look, you fucking old folksy black guy. You're just fucking depressed about the world. Because he's not like a real character. He doesn't even have like a family, a life.
No,
what old cop doesn't have anyone?
I know. Is there a refrigerator with just cheese slices in it?
But at the end, Tommy Jones is with his fucking wife and the horses, and it's just a sad old man afraid to die.
Yeah,
because God did not come into his life.
Yeah, it's like instead of, it's not an introduction of evil, it's a realization of evil.
Yes,
and it's
exactly.
And
Great point.
A chink in the armor of a West Texas cop. It's one of these things where it's like, hey, I was invincible up until I went up against, like you said, overmatched. Yes. This guy overmatched. I cannot defeat this type of. I was a badass up until now.
But this thing's been around.
It's been around.
It ain't new.
And then you're right. That's a great point to make. That bad coffee scene. It kind of gives another angle on the
which is funny. Like, there's been evil people before. Look at these Native Americans. Well, they're writing it in their own.
But that guy would say that.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's not wrong. Like, shit went down. Like, it was like brutality all over.
The world actually hasn't gotten worse.
No.
I mean, it's actually gotten much better.
It's gotten way better, way more civilized. But in pockets, you have your stuff, your brutality.
Yeah.
But on a grand scale, it got way freaking better.
Yeah. But it's like, it's his vanity. It's just, and you're seeing a sad old man. And who would have thought Kelly MacDonald's the one person to really look at death and evil and like stand up to it. You know? And it's standing up to it in the Cormac McCarthy way, which is still dying. In his books, when someone stands up to it, it happens also in. It's almost like in Blood Meridian at the end. It's almost like the Coen brothers kind of took the ending of Blood Meridian and put it into No Country. I don't know if you've read Blood Meridian.
No.
There's the evil. He's like way more evil than Javier Bardem.
Oh, really?
This guy called the Judge, who like. It's about, he gets a group of people that they're basically scalping. They get money for every Native American scalp they have, and the judge, he like fucks little kids. He does every awful thing. He's the worst. He's true evil. He's like this evil force of war that's always been around. But at the end, the good character is this like tough, scrappy guy, says to him, "You're nothing," and then the judge rapes and kills him. Well, that's a Cormac McCarthy happy ending. Because he says to him, "You're nothing." He stands up to it before getting raped and murdered.
Yeah, that's so funny. But I think you're right about but on this one, these guys, they full on had her kind of like they stuck to the book in a way, but not really.
They gave it this thing that is actually like a surprise in the movie. Like, the movie's so brutal, but at that ending, that's like the one part where you're like, oh, a character kind of surprised you. That's what it is. A character surprised you. You're surprised a little bit. I mean, you learn about Tommy Lee Jones' frailty more and more, but she's the one who like, oh, you had an image of her and you were wrong by that image. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I also think in a lot of movies, that scene wouldn't have existed. Even if somebody who took the book, they would have left that scene out.
Yes.
Even with her standing up.
Yeah.
Even with her like technically saying, no, I'm not going to flip, but the book she flipped, whatever it is. Because I think, thinking back to when I first saw it, which is years ago at this point, but like, I think I remember thinking at the time, where is he? Like, because you almost forget about it. Like, by that point, you're not thinking about him going to track her down.
Yes.
And it just adds, you're like, oh, they're going to give you one little more evil cherry on top with this guy before they end this movie. You know what I'm saying? It's like that kind of thing. So it's like, but I think say you had like somebody, like who would have done it, who's big into that, even if it was a Fincher or somebody, I don't know. I just have a thing with that's how much they stuck to the book. I'm like, I think they just would have left that out and been like, "Hey, she got away."
Yeah.
Hey, we don't need her anyway, so
this
she got
movie
away.
could never have been made like this if not for the Coen brothers.
Exactly
I mean, like,
right.
imagine like a first-time director and the producer's like, Josh Brolin's running away from him the whole time, and then he gets killed. You don't even fucking show it.
Right, exactly. They're
like, what the fuck?
You're out of your minds. They go, you better have us, Kelly MacDonald,
Yeah.
Josh Brolin on a beach with that briefcase.
Yeah, I mean, not only is it not a happy ending, but they edit out even the sad parts.
Exactly.
This
right.
movie actually deals with the nature of anticlimacticness in movies in a way that's like borderline avant-garde, but yet still an action movie where like people had trouble with this movie. Like people had real trouble with this movie.
They definitely did. And they almost make it microclimactic.
Yes,
if I can coin a phrase,
yes.
because the thing that happens in the hotel, which is one of the greatest things ever, the with the cat with the milk.
Oh my God. That's the other thing we haven't talked about, how great the action sequences are. They're silent films. They're beautiful silent films with just incredible visual storytelling.
Yes, absolutely. But the rise and decompress of that scene is you're way more on the edge than when you have what you thought was the main character of the movie on the, like, once you get to that point where he gets shot in that hotel and then all you do is see the truck peeling away. You're right, that the anticlimactic kicks in. You're like, oh, what else are they going to throw at me here? Like, what else are they going to do where it's like, and that was pretty big at that point. But I mean, yeah.
To me, it's like every action movie you watch, I feel like I could turn off the last 20 minutes.
Absolutely.
Every action movie, like even The Fugitive, which is one of the best, once they start fighting on the roof, I'm like, I'll just turn this off. Yeah. I know where it's going. This movie is so brilliant. It puts the action sequences in the beginning, and then it changes the tone into something else. And that's what it should do, because it's like, we've already seen the action sequences. The last action sequence is never as good as the fucking early ones.
Yeah, and they have a message there, and they want to get a point across. And they also want to show the full story from the book of the main character.
And there's like, you never watch that movie thinking it's going to end with Tommy Lee Jones just telling a dream to his wife.
No. And that's how the book ends, right? Like, it's exactly it, right?
Yes, and that book, that last dream. I mean, it's you know, this world of, I don't know. To me, it's an agnostic thing. There, it's like, you know, you have hope. It seems like it's just a dream, but I guess it's still within you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
It's one of those things where this is the kind of movie that. Yeah, you're right. Until you mentioned it, I actually kind of forgot. People were like, "What the fuck?" when this came out.
Yeah,
because it does go against so many tropes.
Yes.
So it ages really well because since then, and because of that, just like Pulp Fiction or movies in the past, it turns movie making on its head a little bit more. Just like the movies that influenced them to make these, which are like, you know, your Kurosawas and all that kind of jazz. But like it informs the movies that come next.
Yes.
So nobody's surprised anymore when shit happens because they're like, oh yeah, but remember No Country or remember
exactly.
whatever else, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a commercial film that has this like stuff that's so I don't know what you call it, postmodern or deconstructionist or just kind of stuff where it does not follow the traditional narrative and breaks it down, which I think is really important for a third act, because especially for movies like this, third acts just get really boring a lot of times. You're just kind of watching an obvious thing. And
unless you're the Irishman and the third act is the best part of your movie.
Yeah. I mean,
and it's still not great, but
that's still a great tonal shift. The third act of Irishman is, you're no longer seeing any violence.
No,
it's just a man. You know, it's incredible. Yeah, it's the kind of movie too where it's like, there's different kind of good movies. There are movies that you watch once and you're like, this is great.
Yeah.
Movies like this are the kind of movie where you have to process and have to watch again. Mm-hmm. And that's, to me, like highest level. That's like Stanley Kubrick. That's like, you know, like you have to like really process this movie.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, I bring another version. It kind of takes in what we were saying. And if people have seen this, it actually doesn't spoil it, but it does. So it doesn't spoil it, to be honest. Mm-hmm. If you've seen 25th Hour, have you seen 25th Hour?
You always reference movies that have nothing to do with this.
I know. But
you're like, this is like Lethal Weapon, 25th Hour. Have you seen Dumb and Dumber?
I'm trying to think like things that like same elements. Yeah,
I'm joking.
But there's it fits into what you were saying before about how you're not, hey, with the murder, like, you know, these murders start happening and they're not showing the actual murders, or they're, you know, whatever. But there's a thing in 25th Hour that happens where it's Brian Cox plays his dad and it's Ed Norton. And this thing where Ed Norton's taking the fall for something he didn't do. But he has to because he's in Crime Syndicate, whatever it is. But at the end, they're just driving in a car, and it's Brian Cox's voice, and he's giving this whole like future. It's a future. It's not a flashback. It's a future back. Future flash. Whatever you want to call it. And he's being like, "You meet a nice girl. You live, move in together. You get married." And they show the whole trajectory of Norton's life.
Yeah.
And then at the end and then he's old at one point. He's got grandkids. They're taking pictures, and then it cuts back to them in the car driving. Now, and I don't know. The thing is, like, you're supposed to think like, oh, he's driving him to jail. He's fulfilling it.
Yeah.
But they never tell you that.
Right.
They don't show them pulling him to jail.
Put the idea in your head.
That's what I'm saying. It's like things like that you're like, oh, I had to go back. I didn't for 15 years. I was like, he went to jail in that movie, and then somebody just said that to me. I'm like, changes the entire movie. Yeah. I mean, stuff like that.
No, that stuff where it puts it in your head are always like incredible.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen the end of Mad Men, but like,
yeah.
Mad Men. It just cuts to a commercial, and you know he got the idea for the commercial.
And it kind of fits into what you were saying with the Russians.
And then he came back to the job just by showing a commercial.
Just by showing the commercial.
That's dialectic materialism. You're putting the idea in the audience.
Talk about that has to be one of the biggest leaps ever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
it's incredible.
You're right. They just put 20 extra minutes in your head. Or 10 extra minutes in your head.
Exactly.
That's a really great point. And whatever that was called, that technique, what you
dialectic materialism.
Right, yeah.
Or done in Sopranos, nothingness. The dialectic materialism that puts oblivion in your head.
Yes.
We got to wrap this up, but it's a great movie, and it's and even though it does have some experimental narrative techniques in the second half, what makes it work is that it's emotionally still a traditional narrative because you're following Tom Lee Jones and you're following his emotional arc, and that's what gives it power. Sometimes those techniques can be cold and detached, but the movie is still just connected to the emotions and the sorrow and the fear of Tom Lee Jones.
Absolutely.
And that's what makes it so fucking powerful.
And then most of it's connected to the hope for
Brolin.
When you're watching Brolin, like you're running on two paths.
Yes. Great movie. One of the best. Give it out. Sean, thanks for doing this. You got any plugs?
Oh, yes. Please watch or subscribe to Burbs Bros. Me and Dan St. Germain do it. It's now become a full UFO, paranormal podcast.
Oh, really?
I got Jan into that. I haven't been into it for a while, but like Dan's into it now, so we've been having a lot of fun with it. We'd love for you to do the podcast at some point.
Sure,
I don't know if you're into that stuff or all, but
I'm like,
you could be a skeptic
I'm like
if you like.
Anti-conspiracy theorist.
Perfect.
Anti-UFO
Great.
person.
That's great.
But I will say UFOs are, at least they're the one conspiracy theory that doesn't erode trust in democratic institutions.
Absolutely. It's not MK Ultra.
Yeah, so I accept it. Yeah.
But so Burbs Bros, it's Burbs Bros on Instagram, but please subscribe to the YouTube, and I'm at Shawnee Time on Instagram.
Check him out. Great comic. You can see him all over. And
thanks for having me.
Of course. And as you know, I'll say it again, my special, May 15th. Get tickets now. If you get them today or the next couple of days, you get $5 off by typing live in the promo code. So go now, punchup.live/Raanan/tickets. I'll also be in Tacoma on April 16th. And then I'm doing Portland Helium, Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle in Royal Oak, and Acme in Minneapolis. Thanks again, Sean. This was a great episode. Cut.
Raanan is fat and he's a Jew. He'll tell you something that you already knew. Your favorite movie sucks. Your favorite movie sucks. American Beauty or Forrest Gump. Your favorite movie sucks.